Alright, today we are going to be looking at some Spider-Man trivia, specifically from the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. I'm hoping that most of these are going to be factually correct. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of go through this. We're here on IMDb, so let's see what we got. The first film to gross 100 million in its opening weekend at the domestic box office. At the time, no movie had done so, even when adjusted for inflation. Really? That's pretty impressive. One of the chief difficulties that Tobey Maguire experienced in the now famous upside-down kissing scene was that his sinuses kept filling up with water as it was performed in driving rain. I do remember this, and I do remember seeing an interview of him talking about it and talking about how he enjoyed the upside-down kiss from Spider-Man 3 a lot better because there was no rain. There's an interview of him that you can find of him where an interviewer asks him if he enjoyed the upside-down kiss in Spider-Man 3 better than he did in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man, because there was no rain. So this is actually a fact. When Peter is testing out his webbing for the first time, he says several classic catchphrases belonging to DC characters, mostly notably Up, Up, and Away Web, Superman, and Shazam, DC's Captain Marvel, not to be confused with the Marvel Comics character. Tobey Maguire ad-libbed these lines. Did he really? I find it questionable that he ad-libbed those lines because down here it says he never read a Spider-Man comic book, but that doesn't mean he never read a comic book at all, or didn't know about superheroes, so it could be possible. Okay, so right, we just talked about this. Tobey Maguire said he had never read a Spider-Man comic book, but he took the role because he liked the script. I mean, I would say from experience, liking the script is a fair reason to be in the movie, because I know people are going to say, well, you know, it's based off of the comic books, but, I mean, you're not doing the comic books, you're doing the movie. The Spider-Man subreddit is saying, Tobey Maguire is definitely not the most comic accurate. He's not the most comic accurate. In the wake of the terror attacks on 11th of September 2001, Sony recalled teaser posters which showed a close-up of Spider-Man's face with the New York skyline, including prominently the World Trade Center towers, reflected in his eyes. Not all of the posters were recovered, however, and the ones still at large are now highly prized collector's items. Okay, let's look at this for a second. Teaser posters which showed a close-up of Spider-Man's face with the New York skyline, including prominently the World Trade Center towers, reflected in his eyes. Okay. The thing about that shot is it's actually still in the movie. I'll leave a picture in this video. To acquire his pumped-up physique, Tobey Maguire went through a strict 5-month regimen of exercise, weight training and martial arts 6 times a week, as well as eating a high-protein meal 4 to 6 times a day. You know, that's interesting. I wonder what his diet was like, because Tobey Maguire's vegan. The exercise and dieting, I mean, yeah, that's a given. The Green Goblin was chosen as the film's main villain since Sam Raimi felt the father-son theme, Norman and Harry Osborn against Peter and Ben Parker, would make the film deeper. Wait a minute, you mean like we were going to have a battle? Norman and Harry Osborn against Peter and Ben Parker? What do you mean? I think I know what's going on here. It's supposed to be like a parallel, right? Peter has his father figure die, and Harry has his father figure die. It's interesting. We've got the good and the bad, basically. One of the reasons why Sam Raimi was a popular choice with Sony for the director's gig was because he is an avid comic book collector in his private life, with a collection of over 25,000. Where does somebody keep 25,000 comic books? When James Franco joked about Tobey Maguire's frog-like features on set, the latter was reportedly genuinely upset by Franco's comments. This created friction between the two actors, which led to the existing rivalry between them now. A rivalry that was admitted to by Maguire in interviews since the Spider-Man franchise. I have heard something along the lines of this before. Do I know if it's true? Not really. Bonesaw McGraw, the wrestler Spider-Man fights for money, is played by real-life wrestler Macho Man Randy Savage. Early in his career, Savage wrestled under the name The Spider. That's very close to the human spider. That could be part of where they got the human spider from. At around 16 minutes, the smoke in the lab during Norman Osborn's transformation scene was originally white, but was then digitally altered to green. Director Sam Raimi wanted to use real green smoke, but went with the CG effect, when prop designers could not create a colored smoke that was non-toxic. Yeah, I actually remember watching the official behind-the-scenes thing where they talk about this, so that is true. Released in 2002, the year of Spider-Man's 40th anniversary. How about that? At around 1 hour and 27 minutes, in addition to both Peter Parker and Norman Osborn wearing their enemy's costume colors during the Thanksgiving dinner scene, Harry Osborn is seen wearing all of the colors. He's wearing a green shirt, red tie, and blue coat. Dude, I was literally pointing that out. Like, I was just watching the movie a couple days ago, and I was literally pointing this out. Although Spider-Man is an iconic figure for New York, the majority of the film was actually filmed in Los Angeles. Only 2 weeks worth of location filming was done in the Big Apple. I feel like most of my life has been a lie now. CAA agent Steve Alexander stated in an interview with Entertainment Weekly that Heath Ledger was the first choice for Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the major motion picture. Heath ultimately declined the role, stating that he would be, quote, taking someone else's dream away. I mean, the way I see it is, if you get offered an acting role and you like the role and you want to play that role and you're available to play it, you should take it. Although they play high school seniors, Tobey Maguire was 26, James Franco was 23, and Kirsten Dunst was 19 at the time of filming. That's one of the most debated things about this movie, is the age of the characters, that they were too old to be playing high schoolers. But you have to consider some things. This is not an uncommon thing. And he was also surrounded by a cast of people who were also playing high schoolers, but they were also around the same age as him. Like the lead roles in this movie as well, like James Franco and Kirsten Dunst. Somebody in their early 20s, like Toby, I'd say like 26 is still relatively early 20s. I know somebody's going to say, well, if you round up 26, that's closer to 30. Just stop, okay? Listen to me for a second. Right, he was surrounded by people that age, around that age. 26 is still relatively a young age. And like, if you're casting a movie, you could probably cast a 26-year-old as a high school senior. According to Laura Ziskin, director Sam Raimi has a habit of working with 2 editors, each of whom cuts the film the way they see fit. He then takes cuts of the film and creates his master cut from those. Was that the case with Spider-Man 3 then? Because people have been asking about the Sam Raimi cut of Spider-Man 3. Okay, well, I think that's enough trivia for today. Let me know your thoughts on the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. And with that being said, I'll see you next upload.